It's that time again. Oh, no. Oh, yes is what I said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And what if the Kool-Aid Man and Macho Man Randy Savage were to join up and solve crimes, and it's just the show's called
Just
Oh, yeah.
Giving kids Slim Jims and glasses of Kool-Aid. I am so down for
Here's
that.
some meat and sugar, kids. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely my dream.
I'm going to change the name of this podcast. It's now the Oh, Yeah Podcast here on Rage Select, and I'm Jeff.
I'm Amanda.
And Amanda, unlike previous weeks, months, years, sometimes in this podcast, there's not a lot to talk about. We got a shitload. We got a shitload this week.
Whole bunch.
Shitload. But before we get to any of those other things, anything game related, and even the other thing that I want to talk about, you just got back from seeing Evil Dead 2 in the middle of the woods
with Bruce Campbell.
Damn.
Yep. Yes,
How was it?
It was, well, I love Evil Dead 2. It's one of my favorite horror movies, or it's one of the horror movies that got me into the genre of horror.
Okay.
And it came out the same year I was born, so we celebrated our 30th birthday together.
There you go.
And I met Bruce Campbell for the first time, and he was very nice. He made fun of me because I brought Jack of all trades for him to sign. He was like, there's always one that comes to these things with this. And I was just like... You're welcome. And then John was behind me in line. He had Briscoe County Jr. on DVD. So, we were just...
So you got to actually meet the man.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But I'm sure it was a signing, so...
It was real quick. But he definitely took a little time to say something to everybody. So it wasn't like, name, sign, throw it. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that was my thing with him, was just him making fun of me. And then when he signed his name, he put little quotation and put Jack. And then when he signed John's Briscoe County Jr., he signed it and then quoted at the bottom Briscoe.
Okay.
So that's who I was.
And Evil Dead 2 holds up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is the first time I ever saw it on the big screen.
Oh,
so
okay.
it was really cool. But yeah.
And this was the outside. Was this an Alamo thing, or was this a?
It was a Sci-Fi 25 thing. So it's in partnership with Alamo. It's like Life Movie Death or Birth Movie Death or whatever that program is.
Geez, weird.
It's like an Alamo sister company.
Yeah.
And then technically Alamo Drafthouse through Birth Movies Death. Yeah. So and it came with Bruce Campbell's new book.
How was like the print and the screen and everything? Like outside, I know a lot of times lighting can be an issue.
It was pretty good. So we were out in like the boonies at this. I can't think of what it was called, like the Music Ranch or something.
Is it the Stunt Ranch?
It's called Music Ranch.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. These venues change names all the time, so it's hard for me to gauge.
Well, it's not the Stunt Ranch. That's
okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, the Music Ranch, and it's kind of out where there's no real lights or anything, so it was just nighttime. So the screen came out real clear, and then they have this giant fucking inflatable screen. Mm-hmm. So we were all the worst part was just that we were all sitting on folding chairs. So like. I'm not a huge fan of luxury theaters.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not actually a big Alamo Drafthouse fan. But I hate, like, recliners and shit like that. But, man, nothing makes you appreciate luxury seating like sitting for quite a while on folding chairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were dying.
Okay.
But yeah, it was fun. John got me the tickets for my birthday, and so that was like my big birthday celebration.
Nice. Mm-hmm. How's the just one more? How was the sound?
Really good.
Yeah,
surprisingly good.
Okay.
The best part was that because it was outdoors, the wind was blowing, and you would have the like Evil and Evil Dead, and that also has like a wind sound to it.
Yeah.
And so it would like the breeze hit at like perfect time, so you just like feel the evil go through the air, and you're like,
nice. That's cool.
Yeah, it was really neat.
There was one Rolling Road show a long time ago, because Alamo, for anybody who doesn't actually know, Alamo does this stuff where they'll do like theme stuff. I think they had one that was like
Jaws on the lake. They do that every year. Yeah.
But there was one that I really wanted to go to. I think it was like one of the first years that they were doing it, where it was RoboCop on top of like an abandoned warehouse in Detroit, and I was like, that I would have liked to have gone to.
That's funny.
But yeah, well, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it was a blast. I'm really glad I went.
Cool. How do you know how much the tickets for that were? I always get a little confused about how much.
Too much. So this came with the book, so it was something like $60 each or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, $14 plus tax.
Yeah.
No, it was probably somewhere around like $50 or $60.
That's not bad. I mean, for an experience, and you get to go meet. Bruce Campbell,
and then they had you meet Bruce Campbell. They had a Q&A, and then they had like food trucks, so you can go eat there and everything. So yeah, it was kind of neat.
Cool. Well, that sounds incredibly awesome.
And then straight from there, I came over here to record.
Thank you, and I
I'm
can't
exhausted.
thank you enough. I actually factored it out, and ladies and gentlemen, if I come off a little loopy, it's because I've been working for the last 5 days pretty much straight. Like there hasn't been a moment where I haven't been working.
Yeah. Well, for more context, we finished our recording other stuff yesterday at around 5.
4:30?
Oh, yeah, like almost 5 in the morning.
Yep.
And then and then you
I
had
drank for about 90 minutes and then went to bed, and then I got up, and I don't talk about this a lot, but I do. There's another job that I do that I had to go do this afternoon, and then I came home from that and I recorded Red Dead with Jason, and then I took my dog out and I watched the news, and then you showed up, and we're doing this, and I'm going to go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and drive to somebody's house to record some dojos, hopefully get home in time to go to the grocery store, spend a little time with my lady, and then like tomorrow, John and I have to record, and then on Sunday I got another thing from that other job that's coming up, so it's just like which for the second half of this podcast, I'm just going to let everybody know I am going to be shotgunning Lone Stars during the Q&A because I fucking deserve it, and I'm made of coffee, Wendy's, and beer at this point.
Yep.
But okay, so before we get into the actual news, Amanda and I also sat down right before we started this podcast. We did take a brief 40-minute break.
Yes.
And we watched the Orville season premiere, which is the new show from Seth MacFarlane, and it's a Star Trek kind of comedy in quotation marks.
Comedy?
Okay, so let's jump right in. I think this show has a real identity problem with whether it actually wants to be like a Star Trek show or whether it wants to be a funny show, because they seem
neither hits.
Well, they seem so committed to actually making a Star Trek show that they're missing the joke parts, and that they're not entirely like integrated very well.
Yeah.
There was a lot of wasted space in this. There was a lot of establishing what looked to be actual dramatic like character arcs and plot lines and stuff that didn't need to happen.
I sat with equal confusion when characters were having serious conversations as I did when they were having like what was supposed to be their comedic conversations, where I didn't know if the serious stuff was supposed to have laugh parts in it.
A laugh track behind it,
well, yeah, because none of it hit like, where you're going in any other show. If somebody says a joke, they're saying a joke, but in this it's almost like, I'm not sure if you wanted me to laugh at that. Just the way you threw it out there, it was almost like a throwaway.
Well, it's weird because they also, they've set up this very generic Star Trek universe, and they seem real committed to doing a Star Trek thing, to doing like explanations and like this is like there's a whole thing at the beginning where Seth MacFarlane's getting given the ship and the admiral's explaining like, oh, this is what happened to you and blah 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 blah, and it's almost like if this is a comedy, a lot of this stuff is unnecessary,
right.
And if it's a drama, this stuff should be more interesting, and so it just ends up being in the middle of the road. There were a couple of jokes that I legitimately laughed at, but for a 40-minute show,
not enough jokes.
Not enough. Now,
for how many they threw out versus how many we laughed at, yeah.
I would say it was like, what, 1-2% of the stuff that was in there.
Probably,
there was like 3 or 4 decent laughs throughout, the 40 minutes. In some ways, though, I wonder, like, first off, somebody put money into this show. Like, they built themselves a fucking Star Trek bridge and corridors and, like, CGI of the ships going around.
Yeah, like, total model of those ships, too. Like, they were all over them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of, like, makeup effects, like, good makeup effects for people. The robot guy's a little meh, but,
Oh, yeah, I kind of forgive it.
Yeah, but somebody put a fair amount of money into this thing.
Yeah.
So what I'm really hoping is that this is just like, that this is season 1 of TNG. Because if you go back and watch season 1 of TNG, everybody remembers season 4 of TNG very fondly, but, like, in the beginning, it's just like, Captain Picard, I fucking hate kids. Pick up Riker from that planet where they sell apples. Oh no, there's a space jellyfish. Fuck. TNG, well, there wasn't as much swearing. TNG takes a while to really get.
Yeah.
What was Dr. Pulaski through season 2? Who likes Dr. Pulaski? Blah. do you like Dr. Pulaski?
I'm on the original series still.
Oh,
I never
okay.
got to TNG. So I'm like, yes, I don't know.
Yeah. Though they did end up after the first season of TNG phasing out the man skirts, and I thought they should have left those in there. I wanted Riker to have to get a fucking 7-foot-long man skirt. You know, he's like, well,
it's like a ball gown on anybody like regular size.
Yeah.
Giant.
He's like, oh, it's Sunday. I like to wear the skirt uniform on Sundays.
Yeah, I think it should have been like an option. Like sometimes we just throw it out to people.
Have you ever seen the supercut of Riker getting up from chairs?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
That is amazing. Jonathan Frakes is a monster. Anyway, back to Orville. I don't think it's quite the complete train wreck that.
Oh my God!
Some people have been.
The critics have been like, it's horrible. I don't know why everybody would watch it. It's like, I mean, calm down. It's not great, but I've seen a lot of shows that have started off in worse places than the Orville did, and have gotten to better places. So, like, I honestly think that I was endeared to a lot of characters, but mostly the side characters I didn't particularly like. I don't like Seth MacFarlane, and I'm real biased against him, and it's really hard for me to like him, and they didn't play him off real well in this either.
Nope.
But yeah, so I feel like they have potential and they can go forward with it without.
Yeah, if it doesn't get canceled in 5 episodes, it has potential to get better.
I honestly think the amount of I'm sorry, the amount of money they put into it, they should just give it a full season. No matter what.
So. I think so as well. But I like one of the other things, and this is a spoiler, but it's for the first 5. It's literally the first 5 minutes of the show. Is it falls back on that super tired trope of dude what finds his wife cheating, like comes home early and his wife is cheating on him, and then like it just gives Seth. You know what it reminds me of is a thing that I really fucking hate that Aaron Sorkin does, where it's like it gives Seth MacFarlane the moral high ground to be a complete dick, and not a funny dick, not like Sterling Archer, hilarious, lovable, yet still an asshole, but just kind of a dick, like kind of just a real kind of piece of shit. So I don't know. I mean, there isn't really a show. There isn't a Star Trek show going on right now.
Yeah, at least not one that you could easily have access to, because that new one that's coming out.
It's coming out. Oh, yeah.
That one's a bitch to get to, right? You have to pay for the streaming service or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yes, you must.
Yeah,
I am totally going to sign up for the There is not a website.
You know what,
Don't look for it.
You know what Bruce Campbell said about Ash versus the Evil Dead is people should. He's like, you know how shows get canceled is because people don't download the shows. And he's like, just because you don't have Stars doesn't mean you can't sign up for Stars, the app, pay or sign up for their 30-day free trial, watch every episode on Saturday, delete the app on Sunday.
Right.
And it was like, everyone's like, yay, Bruce Campbell gave us permission.
Plus, well, even if that new show is good, it still looks hella serious. Like, the thing is that there are parts of TNG and Deep Space Nine where they do have some light, fluffy episodes, or some episodes where, you know, it's just nice, right? So having some comedy on a sci-fi show is nice. I think that just to wrap this up before we move on, the last problem is also that I feel like the direct competition of a TV show that has science fiction and comedy is Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And I really fucking like Rick and Morty a lot. And it's 20 minutes long, and it manages to do... The last episode of Rick and Morty managed to do about 80 times more than the Orville in 20 minutes.
But in fairness, it won its cartoon, and it's 3 seasons in and very comfortable with what it is.
Yes.
This is a first episode.
Yeah.
I will give it 3.
I'd probably be willing to give it a lot just because I'm probably willing to watch it until it either pisses me so. I mean, I like that. What was that Yahoo original show that was a comedy Star Trek?
Yeah.
I really liked that show. It had Joel Hodgson in it, right? As like he was like the stoner engineer or like stoner robot guy.
Yes, but I can't think of what the name of the show. And John watched it, and now I'm upset because I don't. At least John told me about it.
Let's see. If I type into the internet, Yahoo.
You can't type Yahoo into Google; it'll explode.
Comedy. Yahoo Space Comedy Show. I'm not the first person to ever look for this. Other Space was the name of it. So if you actually are interested, that was Paul Feig or Feige or however you say that guy's name.
I'm gonna say Feige.
Paul Feig.
Paul Feig.
I thought that one was fair, but it was also totally free to watch.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll give it a little bit of time. I think that though, let's all just calm down and remember that like the second episode of Farscape kind of sucks balls and
how dare you? I don't remember the second episode.
It was the one
I watched it, but I don't.
It was IET where Crichton and his friends are like the extraterrestrials that make first contact. It's such a hackneyed plot. Star Trek TNG's first season, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is pretty much my favorite Star Trek's first season. Like there are a lot of shows.
Yeah.
What was the other one that I was thinking of just a second ago? I don't know. There are plenty of science fiction shows that were just like ball sack until season 2.
I thought Firefly was ball sack until season.
Are you taking jabs at Firefly fans?
Yeah, I love taking jabs at Firefly fans.
All right, well, I tell you what, that's enough taking jabs at anybody because we got news. And we got newsy news because there was a Nintendo Direct this week and it had a lot of stuff. We're going to go over it in kind of try to touch on some of this stuff. A lot of this I feel like doesn't really, the first thing that they talked about was Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Mm-hmm. And you and I were actually watching this when it came. Yes.
Yeah, we sat here and watched it because of, and you guys will know this, now I believe that Agents of Mayhem crashed the fuck out on us.
Red Dead crashed on me today.
Really? What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on. So, but anyway, there's a new version of Pokemon Sun and Moon coming out for the 3DS, and it's got a lot of terms that I don't understand. Like there's a new Necropolis. There's check out these new construct style Pokemon.
Yeah,
and you can make
right. But the important thing is Pikachu had a hat.
Pikachu did have there was a.
I don't even know if that's a new feature.
Oh yes, Pikachu had a hat. But also, there's a Pikachu hat.
Yeah.
So whoa, watch out. I'm sure. Like I wonder from people who are fans of Pokemon, this seems like an expansion Game of the Year edition type of thing for Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of curious to know if like the people that are really into playing the current Pokemon Sun and Moon see this as Nintendo double dipping or I guess is this DLC as well?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I don't know. It's Pokemon and there's Pokemon. There's UB Burst and UB Assembly, which are just
like special
giant robots or something.
They look like they're made out of toys.
I don't know. You can watch the trailer if you're a fan of Pokemon and know more because I literally couldn't tell you what was happening.
We were both confused and very scared.
Yes, I was very afraid. But there is a Pokeball edition 2DS XL coming November 3rd, which is kind of cool looking.
Yeah.
If it wasn't a 2DS, I don't know. I mean, I've never really been one. I don't ever really want like the there was an announcement this week that they're putting out a PS4 with camouflage on it for Call of Duty World War II. I've always actually been not even just like uninterested, but actively turned off by non-stock like consoles.
Yeah.
Mostly because I just buy them when they come out, and so the idea
camouflage is so funny though. Like it's so my console blends in. And you can't see it anymore.
So the Nazis don't see
You're like,
it.
Whoa! It was there, but now it's not.
What? All right, next up we had a bunch of Nintendo Direct headlines. They're remaking Mario and Luigi, Super Mario and Luigi RPG, which I believe was a DS game originally. They're adding in a new like Goomba's Quest, kind of like what were Bowser's minions doing while Mario and Luigi were doing their adventure. That's pretty cool. There's also going to be some new amiibos. Got a Goomba and a Koopa Troopa amiibo.
Those are cute.
They're pretty cute. And that's all going to be on October 6th. Kirby Battle Royale is coming out.
That's weird.
Get into an arena with a bunch of other people and fight your Kirby's versus each other. I don't have any desire to ever.
I like Kirby, but I'm this isn't doing anything for me.
It's one of those things where like this seems like the mode that would come bundled in with the new Kirby game, more than like a whole separate thing that we can get and experience for yourself. But that's going to be coming January of 2018. So I don't know if you always wanted to be like, I want to fight my Kirby versus other
Kirby
Kirby's.
will beat up your Kirby.
Yep.
Kirby's 25th anniversary.
Yokai Watch 2, Psychic Spirits, Psychic Specters, and Oni Evolution is, I believe this is an update to Yokai Watch 2. It's coming out on September. Again, Yokai Watch is kind of like Pokemon in that I don't really know anything because I have a limited amount of time in my day, as I just said.
Yeah.
And playing a Yokai Watch game, or what I was about to say is a game for baby people, but that's...
Wow.
No, I take it back. It's
wow.
Some people are fans of things. Why isn't there a One Punch Man video game?
What are you just going to hit one button over and over again?
I played
Telltale games. I'm just kidding.
I play games with one button.
Like it just starts shitting on everything that kept people.
No. Make it a clicker game. Make it like one of those clicker games.
Yeah.
And like it, the Saitama has like a really long cooldown time, and then you use your money to like get like Genos and a bunch of the other people in, so that you can keep progressing. And then every so often you get the ability to use Saitama one time to go, and then it's got a big cooldown timer on it. See, I could make a video game.
Wow.
Hire me. Even though I don't know how to do anything.
That was as far as my skills in video game making went.
Hire me. My ideas are good. Next up, we had an adorable trailer for the new Layton game, which is the Lady Layton. What was the name of this thing again? Layton's Mysterious. God, I'm sorry. I'm actually having to use the. Normally, I make notes on these, but as mentioned,
he
no
said
time.
Couldn't be bothered, is what he said.
Layton's Mystery Journey, Catriel and the Millionaire's Conspiracy.
That's too long of a title.
Have you ever played one of the Layton games?
I have not.
It's just like logic puzzles, and then it's got this kind of nice, like.
Oh
art
my
style.
God, she's so cute.
Yeah, so this is Professor Layton's like cousin or daughter or something.
So do they do like anime style little cartoon cuts scenes as
I
well?
believe so.
Because that's fucking cute. I'd watch a show based on that adorableness.
Yep, that's coming out October 6th, right around the corner. There's actually a lot of shit that's just been announced that, like, I was looking at the news today and there was all this stuff that was just like, coming September 19th. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Wonder how long. Wait, 4 days from now?
Yeah.
Or, like...
you didn't get any E3 and it's available today. So all of a sudden you're getting a lot of that just randomly throughout. I'm going to announce this and it's available tomorrow.
Speaking of stuff that's available today, they put out a version of Minecraft for the new 3DS system. So it has 3D, basically.
Nice. That's cool.
It's Minecraft.
Yep. That's still a thing people do.
I mean, the people that play Minecraft, I was actually...
I would really like to have Minecraft on 3DS, though. I feel like that really lends itself well to it.
Yeah, it would be a very nice game to have. Well, it's already also on the Switch, but I was actually hanging out with somebody. I was hanging out with a bunch of people that I didn't know like a couple of weeks back, and there was this guy, and he was like, I don't want to brag, but I'm hella fucking good at Minecraft. And we're talking about this is
Did
like
you buy him a drink after that?
30-year-old man or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were all just like, okay.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, like I sell my designs to like through the Microsoft store to like other people and can make a living doing it. Good at Minecraft, like at building.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
He could be a millionaire, and I'm still not going to be impressed. Like, oh my God, you really know how to make stuff on Minecraft?
Wow.
And then panties hit the ground. Like, I don't know what he...
Yep. Well, this Minecraft version also came with an available after this presentation. Yow!
Woo!
So if you've got a 3DS and you want to play some Minecraft, now you can. I actually think that they already had a version of Minecraft for the 3DS, but this is for the DS or...
Well, maybe it was available and you can...
Or maybe it was a non-3D. I don't know.
It was
I
probably...
don't know. Anyway, next up, if you're a garbage person who doesn't
here, present and speaking.
doesn't like life, a.k.a. somebody who thinks that Mario Party is a good idea, fucking game steals my stars every time. I'm not going to play a game where I win all the mini games, and then it's like, oh, now it's at the end of it. Let's roll the dice. Oh, you got a Koopa Troopa. Jeff, give 75 stars to your dog who was playing with the fourth controller. And like,
why do you give your dog the fourth controller?
Because it's Mario
First
Party.
of all, don't act like you had two other people playing the game. It was you and the dog. Why does the dog get the fourth controller, Jeff?
Because he knows what he did. He knows why he got that. Anyway, if you're a fan of Mario Party, they're putting out a version of Mario Party that basically collects the best 100 mini games from Mario Party 1 through 10 in one game. And this
Does
game
it have
is called...
the one from the N64 one where you had to put your hand on the fucking thing? And
oh, I don't know. Oh, well, you go
like,
back and forth. You
have to go in circles with that fucking joystick, and everyone have blisters in the middle of their hand, look like stigmata going on.
I don't know is the answer. This is also 3DS, and apparently one of the other things that you can do is you can play ad hoc multiplayer with one cart, so one person has a copy and everybody else can just wirelessly connect and play
that's cool.
it with them. Top 100 mini games. This is Mario Party, the top 100, and that's coming out on November 10th of this year. We just got a brief, just like Samus Returns is coming out. That's by the time this podcast is out, this game will already be out. I'm going to try to find some time at some point to play this, even though...
So, like, carve out some time in the year 2020. Maybe you'll get to play it.
Maybe. I mean, I would quit smoking, but it's the only 15 minutes a day that I could play video games. So, I've talked before about how I'm just not, like, super psyched for this because it's a game that I've already played, and it's a company that I don't really like, but...
Still want to give it a shot.
It's a Metroid game. I will give them money for a non-Federation Force Metroid game, for a fucking real Metroid game, and then we'll see. All right, and then next up, Atlas is announcing some new stuff. You've got the Alliance Alive, which is a new kind of like throwback RPG from Atlas. It's coming out in early 2018. Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redo is also coming out in early 2018. And Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology in early 2018, and Etrian Odyssey 5 Beyond the Myth also coming out in early 2018. So if you're a fan
I didn't understand any of that.
Yeah,
that seemed like a Team RPG thing to me.
Basically, if you're a fan of Atlas and you're a fan of JRPGs, one of those is probably interesting to you. I think of those Shin Megami Tensei, I think that's the first one. If they're remastering the first one, I'm interested because it's an interesting series. Devil Summoner is the subtitle.
Cool.
They're also, speaking of remastering stuff and putting it out, by the way, I don't know if that game is a remaster, but Apollo Justice Ace Attorney is coming out in November of 2017. That's a DS game where you play as like the new young protege, not Phoenix Wright. You play as Apollo Justice. I have not played that. I've gotten really far behind on my Phoenix Wright. I think I've only played the first and second one. I really want to play the Miles Edgeworth game because Miles Edgeworth is awesome. Have you ever played Phoenix Wright?
No, I sold my 3DS a long time ago.
I think you can play it on your phone now, can't you?
Can you?
I don't know.
Not on my phone. My poor phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it froze out watching YouTube videos the other day.
Damn. Also, just like the Zelda Hyrule Warriors, they are putting out the Fire Emblem Warriors game, which is the Dynasty Warriors in the Fire Emblem universe, on October 20th on the 3DS. Considering that everything that I've heard that the Hyrule Warriors port was very good, I expect nothing less. And last but not least, in this particular segment, there's a new 2DS or the 2DS XL with orange and white.
Gross.
Yeah.
Like a dreamsicle.
Yep. October 6th. From there, we got an interesting look at Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And this is actually... Wait, is this Xenoblade Chronicles 2 the name of what I'm saying here? Let me just make sure that this is right. Splatoon... Oh man, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. There we go. This is a really in-depth trailer. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2, this is actually a narrated segment. Amanda hasn't gotten to see a lot of this stuff, but this whole world is like there are these giant titans that are walking around in the world, and different nations build their countries on the backs of these titans.
Whoa.
And the titans kind of
what if the titans want to put a shirt on?
Then they're fucked.
Mass world slaughter.
But it seems pretty cool. There's also like a fabled kind of like Holy Land, and your character is this young kid, surprise, who finds this lady that's also a sword, sort of.
She's a lady and a weapon?
The lady is a sword.
I'll hit a motherfucker with another motherfucker, but typically they're not actually weapons when I do that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how this works, but the person narrating is
is that like a land unicorn?
Azurda, which is another one of the titans. He's a very small one, and it's where the main protagonist lives on his back.
Well, he eats like a fucking roly-poly, like a giant monster roly-poly.
Yeah, that's...
Why is he the Joker colors?
Oh, he's purple and green.
Yeah, with the white skin.
So it turns out that he gets this sword lady that wants to go to the Promised Land.
I'll take her to Promised Land.
Also, the giant island is also this little puffball weirdo Moogle-looking thing because JRPG. And then they actually go into the battle system quite a bit.
I mean, the land looks really nice. Like everything around the characters looks really good. I'm not too keen on the character design, but
so every character, they have drivers and blades. So basically you have characters that are drivers, and then the blades, which are essentially their weapons.
Yeah.
And you can see that when you're attacking, the blade stands behind the driver and basically affects their little attacking profiles, and you build up stuff. This is actually a really in-depth trailer that goes on for about 5 minutes explaining kind of how this whole thing works.
Yeah.
It looks pretty cool. I don't know. It looks like it has the potential to be cool. One of the problems that I've had about the Xenoblade games in the past, though, is that they have this kind of open world monsters wandering around, and that you spend an awful lot of time like that. Then you get a quest that's like, go out and kill 20 goblins, and then you have to go kill 20 goblins, and that it's not as interesting. That there's just not quite as much to do that isn't just hitting a thing with a sword out in the world. And I probably am just spoiled by things like Skyrim or Persona or, Breath of the Wild or other games. And Breath of the Wild isn't even a JRPG, but like just other games that give you more to do than just kind of go out and hit stuff with a sword.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to give it a shot. I've always wanted to get into Xenoblade, but it always bores me eventually.
Yeah.
So,
well, it looks like there's a lot to get into on this.
Yeah, you can also have up to 3 different blades characters with you that you can swap out during battle. Later on, they show that the weapon that you're using depends on the blade that you're using, and that some of them are like defensive and some of them are soccer.
Yeah,
are healing, and some of them are alliance.
Some are like pew pew ones, and some of them are like poke poke ones, and some of them are like sleepy
chicken with a
what
hammer.
The fuck?
Yeah, Sleepy Hammer Chicken. Some of them are...
That is the best design character so far. There's like rando sexy chick. There's rando like dude that looks like a Dark Knight, and then there's a chicken lady that's kind of sleepy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. Seems kind of cool. We will be finding out. I believe that they actually announced a release date, December 1st of this year. There's also a special edition. Who the fuck cares? From there, we went on to some Switch, Nintendo Switch updates, as all the last ones were 3DS updates. There are 2 new maps coming for Splatoon 2, the Kelp Dome and the Snapper Canal, which is cool. There's also a new thing called the Tent Umbrella, which is a giant umbrella that's also kind of a tent. You can shoot people with it. It's got some interesting kind of stuff. You can launch it. Seems pretty nifty. I mean, I think that Nintendo is... I'm not still playing Splatoon 2, but I enjoyed what I did play of it. And I think that Nintendo showed, at least with Splatoon 1, that they're not just willing to let it languish.
Yeah.
That they're going to keep doing updates. There was a quick announcement for Fire Emblem Heroes that there's one of the characters from the latest Fire Emblem 3DS game, I believe, is coming in. Since we're watching this video without sound, I don't remember her name. Maybe I can find out
Sexy
what it
Pants?
is over here. Yeah, Sexy Pants.
Big boobs, legs for days.
Yes, Sexy Pants, big boobs, legs for days. You are correct. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This is Lynn. Lynn is notable for being one of the main characters in Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance, which was the first installment of the series to be released outside of Japan.
Snipper Clips!
Snipper Clips is getting DLC. Brand new levels.
Are we gonna play?
I don't know. Brand new levels and a new mode where you start out in like random shapes. So it's not just it's not just the little wang doodles. It now are other shapes as well. And they'll be random, so they'll present kind of different challenges for doing stuff.
I am for it.
This is Snipper Clips Plus, and it's going to be available as DLC for the original Snipper Clips or as a whole thing on November 10th.
I want to play it. Put my name down for that game.
Okay.
There's no other games coming out in November.
That's true. We actually learned about Morphe's Law a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
With the multiplayer
like body
shooter.
parts change. You shoot the body part, yours gets bigger, theirs gets smaller.
Yeah. Go watch the trailer for
It's
it. It looks
bonkers town.
bananas. And I believe that also, did that get a release date?
Was that just...
This winter. Rocket League on the Switch, Mario Cars. Samus car also.
Yay. There's a little Luigi car.
There is a new one called Arena of Valor, which is a new MOBA that you can essentially play on the Nintendo Switch, which is kind of interesting. I felt like the other people trying to get into the MOBA sphere is a thing that nobody was really able to do outside of maybe Blizzard a little bit, but
Blizzard can do whatever the fuck they want.
yeah, but this is kind of interesting. I'm going to speed it up a little bit because this is like a stock standard MOBA. Apparently, you can play it like 4-on-4 or like 2-on-2 or 1-on-1 or by yourself. So whatever. That's Arena of Valor. There's going to be a beta for that this winter. Skyrim. We
That's
know
a thing. Yay.
is coming November 17th on the Switch. But what we didn't know is that both Doom and Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, Doom that we played,
Yes, uh-huh.
and Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, which is coming out, I believe, later this year, are also both coming to the Nintendo Switch.
So you're saying we need to do another sequential of Doom on the Nintendo Switch?
It's funny, when I look at the footage of Doom, it looks like it's not quite as good as it was when we were playing it. It looks a little bit less detailed. Like there's just less texture to it.
But there's only one way to find out, and that's to do an entire sequential.
Yes, that's true. Actually, in reading another article, I can also say that the interesting thing about this one is that the cartridge will have the single player on it. The multiplayer will be a download that you can choose to do or not to do. But you can do ad hoc multiplayer with your friends with their Switches. Also, the Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus is coming out. I'm going to start zipping through some of these because some of these are just bullshit. Flip Wars is a game, and there's an update coming with new Coliseums and stuff.
Neat.
That's available
now.
This is a really weird one. So apparently Nintendo has decided they're going to start putting out the Nintendo Versus Arcade, which, back in the olden days, Nintendo had a bunch of essentially adversarial games that you could play in the arcade, like Mario Brothers, original Mario Brothers, or like Ice Climber, or like Balloon Fighter, things like that.
Yeah.
And they're going to be putting these out now as downloadable things that you can purchase from the store. I don't know that I could be less interested.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe if you're like a huge Nintendo person, this is a big deal to play. But
maybe.
I don't particularly.
I mean, the worst one here is at the end they show Punch-Out, the arcade version of Punch-Out, which was a game that had two screens.
Yeah.
And those two screens need to be kind of oriented in an up and down configuration. So you could not have a worse configuration for a widescreen TV than two square screens stacked on top of each other. It's like the most amount of wasted real estate you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Also, everybody knows that if you didn't have the little joysticks with the punch thing on them, then you're not really playing Punch Out in the arcade.
True that.
This is a little strange. They just put out the Mario Brothers, or they're putting it out on September 27th. It's weird. As a brief jaunt to one side, Nintendo has so many games they could be putting out that are not these garbage pieces of shit that we wasted quarters on. It used to be that Nintendo had,
but people liked wasting quarters on them. You know what I mean? Like the nostalgia for it is probably there, and they might as well let them get it out now, and then they can move on to the other stuff.
They've had years to move on to other stuff.
Wait a couple more years is fine.
The amiibos for The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker with the different what do they call, champions or whatever, have a release date. That's November 10th. Also, apparently they're going to give you different helmets and armor based on their titans that have different abilities. This is just a list. NBA 2K18, WWE 2K18, FIFA 18, and Pokemon Tournament DX are all getting ready to come out on the Nintendo Switch pretty soon.
Yay!
There is a new update for ARMS.
Did they add more arms?
They actually did something kind of interesting. This is okay. Damn it! All right, never mind. Well, we'll come back to that in just a second. Before they actually did the rest of these updates, they showed a brief trailer for Project Octopoid, which is the Square Enix. They call it HD 2D. This is what the art style they call, where it's like an old pixel RPG, but it's like in a 3D version of the pixels.
Yeah.
But then the characters are these little like kind of 2D sprites that turn.
Yeah, they're real flat compared to what the rest of the world looks like.
Yeah. So what's really interesting about this, and the reason that it's called Project Octopoid, which might change, is that there are 8 main characters to the game. And you can pick which one you would like to start the game with.
Does it actually affect the story?
Yes, they start in different parts of the world. And then each one of the different characters has a different ability that then allows you to interact with the story in a different way. Now, we're going to probably play the demo that came out for this. Octopath, not Octopoid. Sorry, Octopath Traveler, Project Octopath Traveler. But one of the things they show is that there were these 2 characters, and one of them is this like kind of dancer character, and the other one is a kind of a knight character. So Olbrick, I believe, and Primrose are the 2 they're talking about. And the interesting thing is that they both also have a sub ability, so you can just go up to people in the world, and with Olbrich you can be like challenge them to a duel, which you can do to just get past guards or to like do whatever. And then Primrose can like seduce people into following her to solve puzzles that way. So each one of these 8 characters is going to have like a different skill that you can then interact with the world with in a different way. This seems like a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And I really like what I'm seeing. So their challenge and allure are the 2 actions that they can do. So I don't know. We'll find out more about this when we take a quick look. This is also, I think this is done by the same team that did Bravely Default. They have a similar system of building up power throughout a fight and then releasing it. Looks cool. So let's see. Next up, let's see. Yes, ARMS. Let's get back to ARMS. So the ARMS update is coming. There's a new character, Lola Pop. She's a crazy clown.
Candy clown, yeah.
Also, a big thing which apparently a lot of people have wanted in ARMS is the ability to remap all your controls, which you couldn't do before, and you will be able to do now. So I really enjoyed ARMS. I don't know. But I haven't played it because I don't know.
Because you suck.
Yep. Dragon Quest Builders is coming to the Nintendo Switch. This is the kind of like little Dragon Quest meets Minecraft thing. I think this is actually...
I don't want to brag or anything, but I make a lot of money off of Minecraft.
This is a game that I bought, and then I think we never actually ended up playing for a dojo.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you just like, it's Minecraft?
No, because it's weird. Because it's like your character's the only character in this world that knows how to build anymore. So like there's this village, but everybody's just like, well, the goblins keep attacking, we keep dying to them.
I guess we'll just die.
And you're like, I know how to build a wall, and they're like, what legendary builder hero?
That's funny.
It was an interesting game, but I bought it, and then a bunch of other stuff came out right around it. So it's coming out in the spring of 2018. From there, we move on to new moves and co-op for Kirby Star Allies on the Nintendo Switch.
So adorable.
He's throwing hearts at people. He's making
handing
friends.
out Molly.
Handing out. Yep, he's doing stuff. It's a Kirby game. That looks like a giant ball of pills, but I'm not going to comment on it. Kirby
here to make you happy.
Spring of next year.
Come, child, take some pills.
SteamWorld Dig is coming out. There's some stuff coming to the eShop. We already knew about Golf Story. We already knew about SteamWorld Dig. They just did this thing where they showed all these games. Remember Battle Chef Brigade? There's one called Tiny Metal that I hadn't heard of before, which looks like a little kind of Advance Wars type of thing, which looks cool.
Shit's adorable.
Super Meat, and then there's also some other stuff coming. Lost Sphere is coming January 23rd from Square Enix. Sonic Forces November 7th, Resident Evil Revelations and Resident Evil Revelations 2 November 28th, and LA Noire November 14th.
Boo!
Boo for LA Noire?
I don't like LA Noire.
Boo, LA Noire. Boo!
Boo! Get out of here.
But it's got motion controls that use the Joy-Cons.
Just die.
Oh, Amanda.
So done. Let it die. Let it be lost.
Damn, I don't know if we're going to get to questions this week. Last but not least, they talked quite a bit about Super Mario Odyssey, which looks fantastic.
Yeah, it does.
It turns out the hat that Mario's wearing is trying to get his tiara sister back from Bowser.
Okay. Bowser is also wearing a hat.
Oh, well, do you know the story to this one?
No, not necessarily.
It's that Bowser has stolen Peach, and instead of just like keeping her, he's trying to get married to her, which is why he's dressed up in his big white like marriage suit.
Yeah.
And the bad
He's like, this time we're going to make it legal.
And the bad guys in this game are his wackadoo wedding planner monsters that are trying to make the wedding happen.
I'm so down for this.
I really.
This might be because I'm literally planning a wedding.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
So we saw a lot of new interesting stuff here. The first thing that they did was go over a lot of the new worlds in the game. Mm-hmm. So we already know about the hat mechanic of putting the hat on stuff. They talked about the hat ship that floats around, gets you different areas. They talked about some of the areas. They all have really ridiculous names.
New Donk City.
So there's the Sand Kingdom, Toasterina. Get it? Because it's toasty. There's the Luncheon Kingdom, Mount Volbono. The Wooded Kingdom, Steam Gardens, and the Cap Kingdom, Bonneton.
I'm going to call it
Bonetown. And the Cascade Kingdom, Fossil Falls.
Oh, that looks cool.
Matt's favorite kingdom of all time. There's a lot of fun. And the Snow Kingdom, Shiveria. Get it? Because you shiver when you're cold. It's a me, Mario. And the Seaside Kingdom of Bubbleane, where they actually showed off. Is this the one where they show off? Apparently, the internet is having a real good time when it comes to Mario. Apparently, has a swimsuit that you can get, which I think we'll see probably a little bit later. Yeah, everything about this game continues to look and be like completely and totally
adorable
and radtacular. They talk about how if you can't find all the moons, you can go and you can talk to. Let's see, who is it that you could talk to? Talkatoo, this crazy parakeet wearing a hat that will tell you where the other moons are. He'll give you hints for stuff, or you have hint toads as well. And then Uncle Amiibo, who you can give your Amiibos. There's also a bunch of other challenges, which I think look really interesting because they talk about. Yeah, there's a Koopa racing where it's like you're racing a bunch of Koopas that are running around. Got jump rope challenges. These are all for different things. You got a little RC car driving. This looks like the biggest Mario game I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like all the different things. This is more of like what I expect out of an RPG than what I expect out of a Mario game. Because Mario games usually kind of like, they establish like the rules of the game and then they mess around and do different things with them, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this just is like mini games and craziness, and you can buy a bunch of different outfits. You got the Safari. I call it Safario. Just thought of that. There's a Mario painter.
Artio.
Yeah, we got Ice Climber Mario, Dr. Mario.
Is that the outfit?
No,
he was
Chef Mario, Caveman Mario, sleeping with the T-Rex.
Oh, it's adorable.
Yeah, you can get stickers for your hat ship. You can do all kinds of. Oh, and then you can also pause the game and take snapshots. Which it's funny because they talk about how you can Also, you can rotate the world vertically if you want to make it like the background for your cell phone.
There's filters.
And there's filters.
Snapchat things.
This seems like one of the best games I've seen. It's just there's
oh
so
my
much.
God, he looked like Indiana Jones.
There is so many cool things going on. They have a bunch of different
I'm 100%
things.
down.
There you go.
Oh yeah, there he is.
The world is not ready for.
He was a frog with a mustache in one of those images.
Yep, it's true. He throws the hat on, whatever. He's a something. But yeah, apparently the internet loves Mario's fucking hanging out. Is this the first time we ever seen Mario's nips before?
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel kind of uncomfortable about it.
Put the nips away, Mario. Be a frog. But yeah, it looks really cool.
Whoa, was he in a sombrero? That's cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the toast arenas. So, yeah. And then they also showed a little bit later on some more kind of mini game stuff where specifically there's a 2D version of kind of Donkey Kong-ish looking Mario. This just looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to goddamn play this game. It looks fun as hell, and it looks like one of the best Mario games I've seen.
Oh my God, they got little wedding. Oh, those are going to be on top of somebody's wedding cake.
Oh, the Mario and Bowser and Peach ones.
Yeah.
And they're landing October 27th. So the last thing I'll say before we move off of this, and I don't know if we're going to... Every time I put out a call for questions, it seems like we're almost at an hour now, and we still have a full docket. There's stuff I can't even cut. So... Mario's coming. Super Mario Odyssey is coming out October 27th, and they put out a Mario wedding outfit, Bowser wedding outfit, and Peach in her wedding outfit. But I don't know if anybody's done it yet or if they'll have done it by the time. But I feel like if you just got these two amiibos of the Mario
and Bowser,
it really looks like they're looking to take each other's hands and go get married. And I know that Nintendo is a conservative company that really isn't about that. But
it actually really works.
Yeah, I'm just kind of I've just been putting my hand over Peach in the middle because the way they have it laid out is they're both putting their hands out to Peach. But if you just put your hand over Peach on your phone, it really looks like the two of them are just getting ready to ride off into the sunset. They're like, this woman has been
the surprise ending of this game,
driving us apart for so long. Bowser, let's be happy together. We'll build a castle.
Oh, I'm so for that. I ship it.
You're shipping Mario and Bowser?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I ship Waluigi and Toad. That's
nice.
That's mine.
Gross. I knew it.
As always, there's also going to be... This is kind of weird where they're like, oh, there's also a Super Mario Odyssey Switch edition. And it's basically the Switch, but instead of a red and a blue Joy-Con, it's got two red Joy-Cons. And you know what's funny is that I don't like anything. No, I don't like when things are...
asymmetry?
Asymmetrical. But after having my Switch for a while, I really like it because I can immediately identify which one is which. If they were both red, you'd have to kind of look at them and see which one was where the thumb pad was on each one of them. This also comes with a little carrying case for the actual Switch unit, I think, which is, so... Hey, I mean, I guess if you don't have a Switch and you're going to buy Mario Odyssey, why not buy the bundle?
That might be what we buy.
But that was it. So that was Nintendo Direct last week. And fuck me running if that wasn't a lot of things to cover. You know what? I've got 3 more Nintendo stories. Yeah. So this first part's just going to be totally fucking Nintendo. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. I'm going to pick some questions, and if we can get the rest of the news done with time to spare, I usually get to keep these at least around 2 hours. We'll answer a question or two. I apologize to the people that sent in questions. I will keep them for next week because I did say I need more questions, and then of course we didn't have time.
You lied to them.
Yes. All right, so that was Nintendo Direct, but there were a couple more items of interest when it came to Nintendo. The first of which was that the NES Classic is coming back in 2018.
They're going to release 4 more units, and
Yes.
that's it.
6 more consoles. Actually, it's interesting because I have to say, I spent a lot of time giving Nintendo shit about the NES Classic, SNES Classic.
Yes, you did.
But this is what I wanted, and if it comes back, I will buy it.
Yeah.
I will buy it because I wanted it, and the reason that I was upset was because I could not have it. Also, they are talking about they've hammered out a lot of the problems that they're having with what they had last time with manufacturing. So there's going to be a shitload of more SNES classics apparently.
Yeah, they're going to try to avoid the sold out in 2 seconds.
Yes, and that they're supposedly going to be sold all the way through 2018. Now, it really, I don't know. Like Nintendo, sometimes they do good, sometimes they do bad. I can't tell until I see it. But if they follow through on that, great. All is forgiven. Thank you. It's shitty to make me wait for a year, but thank you for producing enough of these things that we can all go out and buy one. In fact, in light of that, Reggie actually had a quote to the Financial Times where he said that he recommends that, he says, I would strongly urge you not to overbid on an SNES Classic on any auction sites. You shouldn't have to pay more than $79.99, which is the MSRP for it. So he's saying that they really want it to be a thing that people can just walk into a store and buy.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, they had talked before about how they were just like completely caught off guard by the amount of these that people wanted.
Yeah.
That seems a little disingenuous to me after 3DSs, Switches, Amiibos, etc. But, well, the Switch wasn't out by that point. But if they are going to be
we're not
back,
talking about new consoles, though. They're talking about classic stuff. So maybe they just didn't factor in the idea that people would want that stuff.
Yeah.
Because they have the classic games out to buy digitally for everything, and I can't imagine those sell too great.
I think they sell better than you might expect because they parse them out real slow.
Yeah.
And then they put out the most anticipated ones first.
Yeah.
And then with the SNES Classic, I mean, the SNES Classic legitimately comes with something that you can't get anywhere else because it has the unreleased Star Fox 2 game on it. So, but that's great. If it happens, then 100% crow in my mouth and like, Nintendo, you're the best. If it happens, if they keep fucking it up, then I reserve the right to complain like a bitchy complaining pants on the internet.
Welcome to Rage Select, yes?
Yes. All right, last but not least, in August, according to the NPD group, I don't normally report on this stuff, but this is one of the first times that I've really NPD numbers can be really weird because they're just the sales numbers. But according to the NPD, the Switch in August outsold the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. And apparently, the Switch is it's performed a lot better. Let's see. The Switch has been the best-selling platform in 4 of the 6 months since launching March of 2017. And when it's not, it's the PlayStation 4. So this is kind of a weird turn of events in my mind where, the Switch is so desired that it's literally being purchased more than Xbox Ones are.
Yeah.
And a lot of that probably is due to the fact that nobody's going to buy an Xbox One until the Scorpio comes out.
Yeah.
But...
And a lot of people that want the Xbox One probably have it already.
Yeah, maybe. I just wonder if, if you got some money in your pocket and you want to buy somebody something, the Switch is $300. The Scorpio is going to be $700, $600 or something like that.
Yeah.
You could buy, you
could buy 2 Switches.
Well, you could literally buy a Switch and a PlayStation 4 regular, not the Pro, but just a regular PS4 for the amount that it would cost for one Scorpio. You could buy a PlayStation 4 and a VR headset for the amount that it costs to buy one Scorpio. You could buy a Switch and a 3DS, new 3DS for that amount of money. So, I really have to. I'm very worried mostly because I want, again, as always, I want Microsoft to be in a position to kick some ass, because that's going to make Sony do price cuts and give us shit for free and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
The only reason that games with gold even happens right now in the Xbox One is because Sony started giving away stuff with PlayStation Plus, and Microsoft had to respond lest their service become inferior. I want a lot of competition between these different services, so I really hope that when Scorpio comes out, it'll work. I really want it to work, but this is not good. I mean, we're, 4 years into this console generation?
Yeah.
And they're still...
So are you considering this a failure on Xbox One's part and not a success of Nintendo Switch's part?
I consider it to be both.
Okay.
I actually think that... I think Nintendo has a real... I think they're a very... that they have like a hit miss like pattern, because the Wii U, no. Wii, yeah. GameCube, nah. N64, yeah. And then before that, I mean, you know what? You've got the Super Nintendo and the Famicom, so whatever. But no, I'm actually, to be honest, it is a little bit surprising that the Switch is doing this well but they did what they didn't do with the Wii U, where they can put on a Nintendo Direct and it takes us an hour to sit here and talk about all the games and updates and DLC and pre-order, and like Mario looks great, ARMS is getting an update, and you know, we just fucking play SteamWorld Dig, and there's what was that, Morphe's Law, you know, and like a bunch of Square Enix stuff and blah 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 blah. You can just sit here and rattle that stuff off, and I felt with the Wii U every week I was just like, well, what's out? Nothing.
Yeah.
So, whereas 2 weeks ago we had Mario and Rabbids, which was a fucking lunatic game if I ever saw one.
It was good though.
Well, with that, we are going to take a break.
Thanks for joining us on the Nintendo Hour.
Jeez, it really was. It was an hour of Nintendo. It was the Nintendo, Orville, and Evil Dead Hour.
Yay!
We're going to be back in just a second. We're going to talk about... I've still got a shitload of more stories.
Yep.
Let's talk about these new stories. So, we'll be back. And we're back.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, Lord in heaven, it's 2:30 in the morning. All right, let's finish this. Let's finish it. We're back, and we have so much news. We had bright, shiny Nintendo news.
Yay!
And unfortunately, we're coming back to a series of kind of not so great stories. It gets better by the end. I wouldn't leave you guys on a down note by the end of it, but let's talk about PewDiePie, I suppose.
Why? Why would we ever want to talk about him?
That's a good question. Well, we talked about him the last time. Can
this be the last time?
Okay. I actually think there's a more interesting thing to talk about than just PewDiePie, because here's the thing. Everybody knows what's happened, but if you don't, PewDiePie was playing Public Unknown Battleground stream and just casually dropped an N-bomb there. Didn't really, and then later on he basically made a video apologizing for using that word. I don't really fall into the camp of people who are just like, just words. There's a reason that I don't use that word in polite company or even when I'm very upset. I feel like there's a large amount of swear words in the world, and since I was a very young man, I was taught that word is not a word that you use. Yeah. Like, not ironically, not whatever, whatever. I don't really use it. So I don't think, I don't really feel like anybody listening to Rage Select podcast is going to be like, you should be able to say whatever he wants to. I mean, obviously he can say whatever he wants to.
Yeah, but he has to deal with the repercussions of saying something that is used as a hate speech word.
Yeah, I mean, that's just... and lest... Just... I don't even want to stay on this for too long, but like... I like to think about this in today's topsy-turvy day and age, and I try to stay away from a lot of like political stuff on Rage Select. Amanda and I have long, drawn-out political conversations, not on the microphone. But the way that I look at it is more of a manners thing than like a political correctness gone awry thing. I wouldn't use that word with my grandma. I wouldn't use it with my friends. I think it's kind of a hateful thing. I wouldn't use it just because I don't really like that word. So.
I also think he knows the age of his audience. Yeah. And so I feel like the fact that if your audience is that young, that you shouldn't be using that kind of stuff around them, because kids will repeat the shit you say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They repeat all the fucking shit you fucking say, and I don't think it's all right. Shit balls.
Yeah. Plus, there are a lot of swear words out there to use, and
there's enough that you don't need to fall back on any like racist fucking words.
And at the heart of it, it's really more about the fact that like asshole is a generic swear word that shows contempt for another person, that doesn't have its roots in singling out a person specifically because of their race or gender or religion or sexual orientation or whatever. So I have enough tools in my arsenal. I don't watch PewDiePie. So it doesn't really mean a whole hell of a lot to me. I don't think you should use that word. I think it's kind of a hateful word. I wouldn't use it with any. I don't use it with. It's not like, oh, I'll just have all my white friends around. I'm going to use it as much as I want to. I don't use it when I'm not recording.
Yeah, like it's the statement is I don't use it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like I never say it. It's never anything I say. It's never anything you say.
Yeah.
And even if his excuse in his apology video was it was the heat of the moment. That makes
didn't seem that heated.
Yeah. One, he wasn't that heated. He was barely taking fire in that fucking game.
Yeah.
But two, in the heat of the moment does not mean I said a word that I would have never said. In the heat of the moment means I stopped filtering myself, which means that is a word that he does use, and he knows he has to filter it out during certain situations.
Yeah.
So, no, it's not okay, and no, your apology isn't good enough. Now, for me, but like you're not getting money from me anyway. Like I don't click your fucking videos. I don't watch anything. So what does it matter?
Yeah. What I think is more interesting is the thing that happened after that, which is that I don't know.
Also, the ad that I don't know why it's funny to me, but just an article about PewDiePie, and then the ad on the side just is the evil within, and it's like, I think we know what the evil within is. It's racism.
So after this, Sean Vanneman of Campo Santo, the people who made Firewatch, basically came out with a number of tweets and said that they are going to essentially try to use DMCA takedowns on YouTube to take down all of PewDiePie's videos of Firewatch. And specifically, I'll just let this guy speak for himself. There's a bit of leeway you have to have with the internet when you wake up every day and make video games. There's also a breaking point. I am sick of this child getting more and more chances to make money off of what we make. He's et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So without even going into that, because
there's a lot.
What I think is interesting is a developer that decides personally, because Campo Santo has a blanket thing on their website that basically says you can stream or let's play our game.
Yeah.
This is considered your written consent.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting conversation that may be had there about like if a developer grants kind of blanket access for people to use their game for these purposes, if they can then like, and legally speaking, this is already a done deal, because unless it says like what is it, it's like either in perpetuity or like cannot be revoked or whatever, unless it specifically states that, like legally speaking, you can always revoke this. To me, it's just an interesting question of like, if a developer thinks, because the thing that's kind of weird to me about it is the DMCA was originally made to combat like movie theft, like DVD piracy and things like that, and it's now being used as a cudgel on YouTube. Like I didn't even go into this because it's also a minefield, but Alex Maurer was using DMCA takedowns to take down anybody that was using that did a let's play of her game with because she was using that as supposedly leverage to get those people to complain to a company that she felt didn't pay her enough. And so what I don't necessarily like about this is using DMCA takedowns are, I don't really have any here, because a lot of times companies will claim the videos that we do and you just go, oh, okay. But it's interesting to see this tool on YouTube used as a thing to just say, well, I don't like that person, so it's not necessarily that this particular example is bad. It's more about a kind of strange precedent of like, let's say that okay, so Sean Vanneming uses DMCA takedown to take down PewDiePie's videos of Firewatch, even though those are not the videos in question.
Right.
Because he thinks that PewDiePie is just an asshole, and he doesn't want
and he doesn't want
it.
his work associated with somebody that has used hate speech.
Right.
In his stuff.
So,
or not hate speech, but racist terms.
the thing that I get a little bit hung up on is using the DMCA not as in the way that it was intended, as saying, this is my intellectual property and I'm using this to take it down because I feel like you were using it in an unlawful way. To use it specifically in an I don't like you capacity grants a lot of like kind of unseen powers to people. Like, let's say you and I played Agents of Mayhem last week, and in the second part of Agents of Mayhem, there was a place where a boss bugged out and was just running around in a circle.
Yeah.
Let's say that Volition decides that they don't want a video that shows bugs in their game on YouTube, and then uses DMCA takedowns because they're apparently just able to use. You could just use a DMCA takedown for anything.
Yeah.
It's a strange precedent that, like I said, I don't necessarily think. I understand completely where this is coming from, and I, in some ways, think it's, well within the person who made the games. I honestly believe, like, the people that make these games have more cachet than I do, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason that I am able to make enough money to support myself, and that, Rockstar has made jillions off of Red Dead, right?
Yeah.
So... But I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this? To me, it was just an interesting thing that kind of popped up because of this.
The most I can put for 2 cents is that I think this really more shows that YouTube needs to have more options and not just they really should give instead of just DMC to be like, I don't want my company associated and literally have that as an option. Does that make sense? Like, they should give more options. And then it all leads back to the fact that they really should have people that work for them that
instead of fucking robot spiders.
To where they should have essentially like a call center or something that people can interact with, that this could be something that works together.
I don't know. Yeah, it's
a fucking single goddamn department in an office building. I know they have office buildings.
I'd settle for a contact email address to get a problem resolved as opposed to posting in a forum.
Yeah. Because I just feel like there should be a way for people, like anyone, like a developer or whatever, to have people to talk to say, like, I don't want to be associated with this particular creator. Like, what are my options?
Yeah.
And I think creators who get strikes for one reason or another to be like, no, this is why that's wrong, and let's talk about how this can be fixed and then see how it goes. But instead of just blanket change an algorithm, the robots are getting smarter, don't worry about it, and then it never works for anybody.
Right.
So this, it opens everything up to be used as a weaponizing the DMCA. Exactly. Yes.
I feel like that's already been demonstrated, especially with the Alex Mauer thing, where there was not even this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely take your purpose. It's just interesting at the end of the day to wonder, if a company says anybody can stream and monetize our games except Jeff from Rage Select, because that guy
somebody in our
doesn't like chickens.
I want to say maybe it's in our Agents of Mayhem in the comment section. I said YouTube should have an option to, or not an option, but you should be able to give yourself a rating. So you're we're an R-rated show. We cuss, whatever. And then people
PPs and hoo-has all over the place.
So if Nintendo goes, look, we don't mind if you guys play our games, we're going to monetize it, but we don't want you to cuss because these are kids' games.
Right.
They can go, you cannot post a game if it's an R-rated series or, whatever channel. I think that is a valid option as well. I mean, it's a little different for what he's asking for here, but I mean, there's a lot of things they could be doing that they're not doing.
Yeah.
I think the lesson here is YouTube sucks.
Yeah. I really think that...
You heard me, YouTube.
I really just wonder if it's time for somebody somebody to fucking Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos go out and start their own video hosting platform with blackjack and hookers, for
Let's do it.
yeah.
It'll be us.
Come
to Rage Select.
Need a server farm. I actually looked. But that's the crazy thing is that once upon a time I looked into what it would cost to host our videos privately on Amazon. Right?
Mm-hmm.
No YouTube, no fucking takedowns, none of this bullshit. I pay for the hosting. And it was fucking, I haven't gone back, but it was fucking unreal. It was like this amount per gig streamed. So the more popular your video is, the more it costs to host it on the Amazon video hosting service. So I always wanted to get Rage Select to a point where, because we came from the spill model, right? And so we had videos that were uploaded to Hollywood specific servers that could never be fucked with, and then we had a YouTube mirror for people that wanted the convenience of YouTube. But there was always an inviolate copy of that could never be taken down, that could never be fucked with, right? Like the Blood Bros Broforce video the first Patreon video that I ever made, where I just played this music track and then I played Broforce over it. It was copyrighted to hell to the point where I just took it away because nobody was going to be able to watch it, and if they could, it was going to turn the audio off, and it's just then
silent video,
fucking bother, right? But I don't know. This opens up a lot of stuff, and I don't know. I'm interested to know, because I feel like in the day and age in which we live, there is no, if you grant blanket DMCA or blanket takedown powers to people because of say because nobody wants to be well, you can't be racist on YouTube. It's offensive content, right?
Yeah.
So what is to keep, again, Volition from taking down our Agents of Mayhem video because it shows a prominent bug and we point at it and we laugh at it because we're calling people dickface, asshole, and I think I even used the C-bomb in there at one point during one of those videos. But what's to keep them from pointing to the foul language and then using that as a pretense to take down a video that maybe shows their game, that maybe does have bugs, in a poor light? Or to put it another way, let's say when No Man's Sky came out, that we made a video where we ripped into it and called it a big old piece of dookie shit on the side of the road, and they were like, well, this is vulgar, and we want to take it down because it's vulgar, when the real reason they want to take it down is because they don't want people to see the stuff that Let's Players are pointing out, which in this day and age I feel like is very important, because there are a lot of companies that will try to slip a bunch of screw you shit in there that you don't find out until after you gave them your $60. And without somebody to just uncontrolled by the company say, look at this bullshit, then you may not find out. So I don't know. To me, it's a question. Again, I don't have an answer for this. I'm just more kind of asking the audience of Rage Select if you would like to chime in.
Solve the problem.
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that in this particular day and age that creators should have unlimited rights over their stuff? Because I know that even Nick is facing problems with YouTube's offensive content system because he's covering war movies, right? So they're just well, it's too violent. He's it's a fucking war movie.
It's history. He's discussing history, and
So I don't know. I don't know. At one point, by one stretch of the when we started this conversation, I'm not a fan of using the N-word just whatever all the live long ding dong day, but on the other hand, I'm also not entirely. I feel like Let's Players, Twitch streamers, esports, and video games have all become a big enough part of pop culture that it feels in some ways like YouTube feels a lot of ways like they're just trying to roll it all back. They're just trying to I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. There's no solving it. Yeah. YouTube's put themselves in one dilly of a pickle.
Yeah, well, I don't think they care because
they're making the money. They're making the money on the backs of creators, and once the creators have to go and find a new way of making content because they're now overregulated and overpunished for everything, they're not going to be able to. They're going to look for new places to go.
Yep.
So eventually it'll fuck them over.
Well,
fucking who knows?
Patreon is a direct result of the fact that, if you're trying to monetize, YouTube made it so odious to monetize anything. And, you live in an age where Nintendo can just straight up take your money. or monetize your video
What if
against your will
Patreon
or
just
whatever.
started letting you upload directly to them?
That would be great. That would be fucking fantastic. I would love that. All right, well, next up on the crap parade, so a little while back, last year, I believe, there was a scandal involving Counter-Strike Go and some YouTubers.
Okay.
So basically, there was a website called, I believe it was CS Lotto, CSGO Lotto was the name of it. And basically what you would do is, I don't know if you know this, but in Counter-Strike you have weapon skins, these little bullshits, right? These little purple bullshits. So you could take your weapon skin to this website and essentially bet it as currency in a lottery, and then whoever won the lottery would get all of the bet skins back to them. And these skins can be like sold and traded and stuff on Steam. I'm pretty sure for real world money, right?
Okay.
So this scandal happened when there were two YouTubers, Trevor Martin and Thomas Castle, who were basically like making videos on YouTube where they were like, oh man, like, all right, guys, I just found this brand new website. It's called CSGO Lottery. It's really cool. Let's take a look at it. And they would take a look at the back. Shit, I just got like 5 new skins. What the hell? This is great. This is great. And what they didn't say was it was their website. And this also ties into the fact that this is gambling.
Yeah.
But because it's not in a casino, they're not checking IDs at the door. And so this is essentially gambling that children can do.
Jesus.
Well, the FTC and Steam, etc., got into it. We actually have a ruling, and this has actually happened a little bit after our last podcast, so it's a little bit old, where the FTC basically, they reached an agreement with the FTC, and this is off of a Game Informer article, where they, according to Rolling Stone, the two have reached an agreement with the FTC where they must report all of their activity to the commission, as well as disclose connections with endorsers. The commission ruled that the two don't have to pay any fines or even admit guilt unless they go against that agreement. So they basically have to fully disclose any thing like that. Like they have to disclose if they are the owners of a website that fits into a product that they are essentially selling. And they have to disclose a few other things as well. But what they get in return for that, because they are essentially first-time offenders, is no even admission of guilt or any kind of fines or like sentencing or anything like that. So in one way, I can see how if this is the first time you pulled some shit that doesn't have a precedent, that's not, it's not like, oh, well, this is the first time you robbed a convenience store, but you didn't know it was wrong, so don't rob it again. Whereas this is like a thing, it's like technically it's securities fraud, I believe, or it's just fraud in one way, but I feel like it's one of those weird internet things where we didn't already have a precedent established that like this is fucked up and you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, these two seem like real big pieces of garbage crap, and so
yeah, I mean it's odd. Oh, I mean, because what it's preying on younger people, it seems. Because I don't know if adults would be so into it.
I don't know.
And then to be like, well, we don't have to make sure you're a certain age to do it.
Yeah. Well, their defense when this whole thing came out, if I remember correctly, was that one of them was like, well, you can go to that website and see who owns it, and my name is on there. And it's like, yeah, but it's, down in the FAQ and the legalese, and then you're making this video where you're very much just like, oh, my God, what's this brand new website? I've never seen it before. Yeah. I do like this quote from the FTC. Mitchell J. Katz told Rolling Stone that, quote, the goal of the FTC isn't to be punitive or a draconian agency. We're here to educate consumers about new markets. So I don't know. I hope that they end up doing some stupid shit and eventually getting smacked around a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's just my vigilante justice desire to see people that do scummy things.
That's how I know that you read comics as a kid.
Yes. The YouTubers are a cowardly and superstitious lot. And last but not least, this is a very, very strange. We're actually getting close to the end of our shit parade. So,
yay.
All right, Destiny 2 has a piece of had a piece of armor. You see it?
Yes.
Do you see the problem with this?
I actually know what the problem is with it,
okay.
so I it's unfair for me to say yes and act like I know what the fuck's going on.
Okay. So the armor has basically chevrons with vertical lines and then horizontal lines going between them, and it basically looks like Kek, which I actually had to do a little bit of research in this because I wasn't aware that, like, okay. So this
You
happened.
don't know about Kekistan?
Has this green, and this is apparently very close to the flag of, yes, as you said, Kekistan, which is a fictitious, racist country that was created on /poll on Reddit or something, or on 4chan or something like that. See, it's weird because I only knew it as just like an internet meme because if I'm reading correctly, I was looking at a NeoGAF forum. This originally started. Do you know how what Kek was originally?
No.
Is that it's World of Warcraft. In World of Warcraft, Alliance and Horde characters couldn't talk to each other in general chat, but if you typed LOL, it came out as Kek in the chat room, and then it got picked up by internet culture. And there was also, I remember I was listening to a Reply All, I think, where they said that there was like a little cake that you can get in like Turkey or something that's called like Top Kek is the name of it, and so so they would pick that up. And also KE is like ha in like Korean or something, so in like StarCraft matches you would see like Kek in the comments. Anyway, apparently this has also now been pulled out, it has been co-opted like other things by fucking vile website bullshit groups. And it showed up on a piece of Destiny 2 armor. They pulled it, but what I find really interesting about this is that they didn't just like try to sweep it under the rug. They put out a full news story on their website explaining how did this happen. And basically the way that it happened was that, okay, so I'll talk about a couple things here. The design in question, this is from their website. It's from Bungie's website. The design in question was initially created as part of Gear Foundry explorations in June of 2015. Graphic designers routinely reference real-world art, iconography, typeface, and other design elements to inform the choices they make. In this case, some of the reference imagery featured the simple mirrored chevron shapes found in the finished piece. Some graphic design that belongs to sports teams provided some inspiration as well, along with some primitive shapes and chevrons that were used to permeate our Guardian class iconography. So in the game, the Guardians they'd love a lot of those chevrons, right? And if you put a line over the chevron and then you're looking for something to contrast that, putting those horizontal lines in between. You could see how that design would have developed as just a
like an organic thing.
So from there, they go on to say, how did we miss this content in development? And it's interesting because this is what was actually...
Because we're not racist pieces of shit that go to bad websites for bad people.
Actually, what's really interesting is listen to this. Although the design wasn't emulative of the meme in question, the armor piece was eventually flagged by another team responsible for reviewing content for cultural, geographical, and other sensitive issues. Unfortunately, that review was conducted to explore whether or not we were comfortable with the connection to the original innocuous Kek internet meme. The more contemporary vile derivation that has been repurposed by hate groups was not surfaced through this process, and therefore the armor was approved to ship. So I actually...
They're like, oh, it's just like associated with like LOL and this.
Yeah.
So they were like, yeah, why not? And it turns out.
And then it turns out that it got. So the final piece here is basically what steps are we taking to ensure this won't happen again? We are digging in to determine how we can more deeply vet our game content to shield us and our community from inappropriate imagery. Though we are still investigating our creative process in full, we know that there was no degree of malicious intent from anyone on our team. That said, we do recognize that the design in question is close enough to warrant removal from the game. So I find really interesting is that apparently this is just kind of like a weird coincidence, right? This isn't like in Mojang where there's a version of Minecraft that had a bunch of like translations into like racial epithets that were done by like a third party translator, or like it was slipped in by some artist, contractor that was just like I mean, there's still that helmet that's just totally a giant dick. I mean, I don't know why that's still in there, but
you know why that's still in there.
I do know it. But I think this is actually really interesting because they were so upfront about it, and it was a nice change of pace from an industry where a lot of times we see
where they just like nothing happened,
shove it under the rug.
Well, I think they've seen enough people that has bit them in the ass. That like pretending like that didn't happen is not a great thing. So instead, just being like, look, this was an innocent mistake. Here's what happened.
They also didn't equivocate, and they aren't like trying to keep it in the game. It's like it was pointed out, we took it out, it's out, and we're trying to make sure it doesn't happen again.
So there's no way that you can have somebody that's like the internet master that like will know every shitty meme that you do or don't want to be associated with.
Sure.
So this is a nice way for them to be like, this was a mistake, and this is the process of how it works out. Like, they will tell you how it came to be. They apparently have like a department that tries to make sure that they're not doing anything offensive, and then if it turns out that it's connected with something offensive, they take it down right away. And that way, if something happens again for one reason or another, they can go through the same process without it being an issue. Really shouldn't be a news story if it happens again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they have it set up. It's nice if you like openly say like, this is what's going on. Then if something happens, you go like, oh, okay, here's where the mistake happened, and then you just move on again without it being like, no, you didn't see anything. Oh my God, look over there. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
Well, it's also really interesting to me too, because I feel like the same thing happened to me with Pepe, where I just knew that as kind of a silly internet meme that 4chan
like a
used.
Shitty frog,
Yeah, and then like I listened to the reply all talking about how it was used, and then it was started to be used to be like intentional. Like once Pepe hit the mainstream, that 4chan tried to take it back by making it super racist as a way to try to discourage the mainstream from using it, and then like actual racist people picked it up as an actual icon and started. Really, there's a reply all about Pepe that's really interesting.
Yeah,
and the poor guy who made that too,
he was real upset
Matt Fury, I guess it was who that was, where he wanted to like take it back, but
he killed that character off in his like little webcomic-y thing that he does.
But in any case, I think it's interesting, and I think that it's nice to see a game company just it's nice to kind of get the full story. I mean, who knows? I guess they could be lying through their teeth, but it just seems like an honest mistake that was done. Now there are honest mistakes, and then there are like honestly being a dick for realsies, and that was what the latest Overwatch developer update was about.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to get into this.
I was like, were they being dicks?
I'm not going to get into this in a huge way, but I feel like this section brings up a lot of kind of things to talk about, interesting points. So in the latest developer update was about the reporting system, how they're bringing the reporting system to consoles, because currently there isn't a reporting system in consoles. The number of people that have gotten banned. There was a really interesting thing. I don't remember do you remember the name of the guy that does all these? Jeff Kaplan. Jeff Kaplan, in a really interesting way, was just like, look, if you just want to call other people like names and be shitty, we don't want you to play Overwatch.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to make a server where the shitty people can play. Stop playing Overwatch. We don't want you in our game.
Yeah, there's other games.
Go away. And because it was actually interesting, because then later on he talked about how like there's other stuff we'd like to be doing with Overwatch, but we have to devote teams to now integrate this reporting software into the console when we could be doing other feature updates. And it's an interesting thing, but what I really think the most thought-provoking thing about this update was that he said that they're integrating a thing where if you report somebody and then that report is acted upon, then you will get essentially a confirmation back that something has been done. Which I understand completely why you would want that.
Why would you want that?
Because you want to know that your harasser has been punished. It's the same reason why I feel like if you got robbed, right? You filled out a police report. The police have they're not obliged to tell you if they catch the person, right? But
so this is the difference between somebody who's worked as a moderator and a fairly large social media website for 2-3 years, and
somebody that plays a lot of Batman games.
You will get a lot of people that are getting harassed.
Yeah.
That is a thing, especially online in like video games and stuff. But you will also get, this guy wasn't 100% the nicest person in the world to me, and I want him to be punished. I want him out.
Yeah.
And I want to know that he's out. And it's like, why? Because I was camping and he killed me, and fuck that guy because he's mean, he's a bully, and he knew I was going to be there, and he's bullying me because he knew where I was in the game, and he shot me where I was in the game. I'm telling you, like I dealt with that kind of interaction with people where they literally did nothing, and though they were not being nice to you, they were not bullying you, and they want some kind of confirmation and a fucking gold star for every time they weren't really bullying me, but they weren't being real nice to this other person, so I need to report it. So I can understand they're not understand, like there's not another point to it, but just it kind of bothers me that they want some kind of confirmation. I think at most they should get a red, like you get a confirmation that we received your complaint and that we are looking into your complaint, but you are not owed to know the punishment or to know that there was a punishment implemented, because at that point your job is done.
Yeah.
Like, as the person who was bullied, like, you should want to disassociate yourself from that situation and not be like, yeah, tell me what happened to him. Is he crying? You know what I mean? It's like your own version of bullying.
I totally agree with you. It's why I wanted to bring this point up, is that
because you knew I get fired up.
Well,
Fucking
no, actually,
it.
I didn't expect you. I didn't actually make the connection in my mind with the moderator thing, but yeah, it seems like the only benefit to that confirmation is to let you be like, and fucking take that, you piece of shit, which feels good, but isn't always a very productive emotion to be having and to be cultivating.
Yep.
Like, I'll be honest, I was playing Overwatch on the overpower mode on arcade or whatever.
Yeah.
And I got in a situation where, because that mode reduces like cooldowns and stuff, I got too far into the enemy's territory, and an Ana player kept me asleep for 3 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Because she would just, every time I woke up, back asleep again. And it was one of the most frustrating things, and I would have loved nothing more than to be like, fuck this person, I want to report them.
Yeah.
And then when they were like, yeah, they got a 2-week ban, to be like, yeah,
fuck you, keep you asleep for 2 weeks.
But to be honest, yeah, exactly. But to be honest, that wasn't a very noble emotion in me. It was just in the heat of the moment, I wanted revenge.
Yeah,
right?
but instead you get through those 3 minutes and then you move on.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's weird to me because I don't know. I'm kind of with you where I don't think that people should get. I don't know if you should get. I think that what you said, a confirmation that it's been read and looked at, is interesting.
It's being reviewed, but you are not owed anything beyond that, because their decision on what to do to that person is between it's between the party of the moderator and the person that is getting punished.
Yeah.
It should not be between victim and like that. I am not for that at all.
Me neither. But I'll tell you what, if you're out there, this is where we transition back over into a lighter set of news. So that's happening in Overwatch. But I tell you what, let's say that you're out there listening to Rage Select. You're like,
I refuse to believe that anybody's out there listening to Rage Select, Jeff.
I don't own Overwatch yet, but it seems like a real fun game. You guys fucking talk about it nonstop. But I don't know if I really would think it's a good game for me to play. Well, guess what? Another free weekend is coming, September 22nd through the 25th.
Yeah.
All platforms, that is PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Go to the platform of your choice, install Overwatch, and play for free, and then you will know whether you want to buy it, and you will probably
You'll know fairly quickly.
You'll
know like 2 rounds in.
I don't know these days. But what if they just go into like team deathmatch and it's just like, whoa, dude, no, man, push the cart. We're over it. Amanda and I are over here.
Yeah.
Push the
on
cart.
The goddamn cart.
All by ourselves.
Why am I on the screen at the end for objective time? Because I'm the only fucking person on the objective.
And why am I Lucio as the only one with objective time? Anyway, yeah. So if this will be coming out. Let's see, is that like a week away? So this will be coming out on Sunday. That means that this coming Friday through Monday, you can play some Overwatch, and you should if you haven't played it before. Or you know what? If you played it and you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. I understand.
Yeah, whatever.
People like whatever. But if you've been on the fence and you want to give it a try, hey, you got a weekend. Clear out to your Saturday.
Or having said that, I did sit next to a bunch of people at the movies in the woods, because beforehand we had like a picnic area and we like everyone ate and they all kind of sat around each other, and the people that were sitting next to us, one guy was like, yeah, I play a lot of Overwatch, but it's only because my friends play it, because to be honest, it's a bullshit game and nobody like it's not even that good, and I really only play it because my friends play it. And I was just like, John, we need to move away from this person.
Stop playing, you dick face.
Yeah,
by the way,
like, what the fuck?
I was telling Jason and I were waiting for Red Dead, because so we were playing Red Dead today. We were recording Red Dead today, and my Xbox One decided, like, fuck you, I'm updating now.
Jesus.
Like mid-mission Red Dead.
Yeah.
So we had to wait for it to do its stupid goddamn update. And we were telling Overwatch stories to each other, and I was talking about the new deathmatch mode and how, like, oh, it's nice because now we can go, those of us that actually want to push the fucking cart could do it. And his immediate response was like, I know, I play Pharah as my main. I'm supposed to be in the sky, not standing on top of some cart. I'm like, see, every one of us that pushes the cart, we are a persecuted subclass of Overwatch. We're spawning in as Mercy, and I'm pushing the cart and shoot people with my little pew pew just to get that cart forward. Because if we don't push the cart, then we lose.
Yep.
I want the skins.
I need the extra points.
That's right. Anywho, all right, let's move on to some stuff that's not Overwatch related, except booyah, it kind of is.
Okay.
So apparently there was a recent study. This is just kind of an FYI, but recent study by Limelight Networks that basically found that millennials, people between 18 and 25, basically consuming every year more and more.
Am I a Gen
Xer? Gen Y, I believe.
Oh, that like tiny sliver between millennials and Gen X?
Yeah.
Yay!
Get out of my generation, man. No, you could be a Gen X. I don't give a fuck.
No, I don't know where the but I'm not 25, I'm 30, so but I don't think that's Gen X. Gen X was a little older.
I'm Gen X. I'm almost 40.
John's Gen X and he's 35.
Yeah, it's bullshit rules. I'm just like, who gives a fuck?
Watch Adam Ruins Everything. Adam Ruins millennials, because that's a super interesting
watch the one where his co-host talks about like the not confirmation bias, but the thing where when you're presented with things that attack your core values, it just makes you dig into your core values even harder. I forget what they call that. Anyway, so 18 to 25-year-olds basically every year are watching more and more and more and more and more esports. Esports, I don't think this is a shocker to anybody, is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on.
Is this about the Blizzard Bowl?
No.
Oh, because Blizzard's opening their own stadium thing. You know that, right?
Yeah, we reported on that last week.
Yeah.
But I think that this is interesting because I think, this goes back to the whole YouTube thing, is that, like, you fucking assholes had better, like eventually it's just going to become Twitch streams, right? Like Twitch will pick up anybody that YouTube puts down, and then once Twitch starts getting horsey, then we'll all go over to fucking Vimeo Live or whatever bullshit, right? Like you're fighting the tide of like young people these days. They don't want to fucking go watch football. They want to watch Dota. You know, they want to like watch Let's Plays. They want to do these things that are related to their interest. And I love the fact, 2 years ago, there was a story about an ESPN anchor that just went on and on about how fucking esports are baby sports and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I say, all you got to do is look at what the audience looks like at the International or StarCraft finals or Heroes of the Dorm or even the fucking Evo. Like, this shit's big and it ain't going away. If it was a flash in the pan, it would have been gone by now.
Yeah.
As you said, Blizzard's building a stadium, so fucking...
I'm hyped. I will go to that stadium and I will watch people push the fuck out of some buttons.
I will go to that stadium and I will watch them do everything that is not pushing the objective.
I'm going to be the asshole in the crowd like, hit X! Hit X!
Hit X and then A!
No, hit it harder!
I know. I just like you and I could go to Overwatch tournaments and just hold up homemade signs and say, "Get on the fucking objective."
Yeah.
Stop picking Genji. He's not that good. You could do better if you picked somebody else. I got random into.
I love the idea that it'd be like, yeah. So Jeff and I we went. They were having like a big tournament of Overwatch at the Blizzard Bowl, and Jeff and I got kicked out. For harassing people.
Because we were just like, fucking get on the objective.
Fucking objective. him.
If you move it 6 inches, that's 6 inches that you don't have to move it later.
Like, Jesus, you guys paid a lot of money to sit front row. And we're like, worth every fucking penny so they could hear us.
Oh, look, Widowmaker, you didn't die this whole time. Good job.
Good
Did you move
for you.
the objective 1 centimeter forward? No? Okay.
Good for you. Did that work out for you? Because it's fucking worthless to us. You're welcome. We turned it back into Overwatch conversation.
Yep. All right, let's move away from Overwatch to Obsidian. So I didn't actually know about this, but apparently Obsidian, do you know who they are?
I know of them.
Tyranny. They made Fallout New Vegas and Star Wars KOTOR 2.
Your favorite games?
Yeah, they're my favorite company. Actually, I hate most of their games.
Yeah.
I do
That is how I know Obsidian, is because you don't like them.
Well, it's funny because after Stick of Truth, I like most of their games. I like Pillars of Eternity. I like Tyranny. Tyranny is a game. This is an ad for it where you get to play as a bad guy and like in a fantasy role-playing setting where you're like basically part of Sauron's army.
Yeah.
And we played a little bit of it. It seemed pretty cool. Well, apparently they had a game called Stormlands that was being developed as an Xbox One exclusive that was eventually like just kind of thrown away in the planning stages. And I didn't read all the way through this, so I'm going to give you basically a little teaser, and anybody can go over to Eurogamer.net and read the whole article because it's like a full-on...
Hella long.
Yeah, it's a full-on like kind of debrief on this. But the interesting thing was... it was kind of the concept where they said, we were given a proposal, the Million Man Raid. Conceptually, what came from Microsoft was this idea. Imagine you're playing The Witcher, maybe with a friend, and what happens if at points in the time a giant creature pops up that you can see in the distance, and it's not just popping up where you're playing, it's popping up for everybody who's playing. And you all rush this creature, and then there's this haze around it, and you're all rushing towards the haze, and then the game is matchmaking you into a 40-man raid where you're all going to fight the creature at the same time.
That's neat.
And I'm like, that sounds like a pretty cool concept. There's a lot more to it, so you can read over it. You can read over a game that probably will never get made that's been canceled. And
go ahead and get your hopes up for something that isn't going to happen.
But, you know, they've got some screenshots in here from one of the, this kind of, I think this was a 360 prototype that they were making, and it looks pretty good. Oh, that's also something good that I can add in here real fast. By the way, folks, if you're waiting for me to talk about the South Park Stick of or Fractured Butthole difficulty slider, I'm not going to do it because maybe we'll do it later after everybody's already weighed in. But those of you who know what it is, I've already seen it. And those of you who haven't, I would like you to see it in the game instead of in a Let's Play video. We actually knew about it last week, and I axed it because I thought I'd rather people
It seems
get a chance
like
to see
it
in the
would,
game.
have a better impact in game than it does if you hear about it before the game even comes out.
All right, so now we're coming to the part of the podcast. Holy fuck, we have to hurry. There's going to be no time for questions. We're at about the hour and 45-minute mark.
Whoops.
Yep. Okay, so this week at the Apple thing, which we're not going to talk about because I don't have an iPhone. I don't care about iPhones and a $999 iPhone. What the fuck? I don't even give a fuck. Like,
somebody pointed out that if you order everything at Cracker Barrel, it's $887. So really, you could just go to Cracker Barrel.
Literally every item at Cracker Barrel.
If you literally ordered one of everything, it's like $887.
So this fills me with an amount of rage that I have rarely felt in my life. That game company is Genova Chen's game company that has brought us Flow, Flower, and Journey.
Yeah.
And they announced their new game, which at least for a little while is going to be specific to iPhone, iPad, and Apple TV. And it's called Sky. And you play as a tiny little man with or little lady or whatever, little person with a little cape, and you're like flying around, and it's like Journey, except you're going to be all up in the sky, and it looks really, really pretty, and I really, really, really want to play it, and that's why I'm so salty of
that
the fact
it's like an Apple exclusive.
that it's an Apple exclusive, and I refuse to buy their overpriced devices.
Yep. No, thank you.
But it looks cool, and the good thing about it is that it is set up. It is a timed exclusive for Apple devices, so we'll probably be seeing a PC, maybe PS4, maybe Xbox One version of it later. What do you think about what you're seeing here, Amanda?
I think it looks good. I mean, it's not a real long clip, but yeah. I mean, I like all their stuff, so if it's more of the same, I'd be really happy.
I was really mad because there was a tweet that we reported on like 4 months ago where Genova Chen was like, "Yep, our new game's coming out this year," and I was just like, "Yay!" Because it's been so long since Journey came out.
Yeah,
it was a PS3 game. I'm like, "Yay! I really can't wait to play their new game." And it's like, "Well, then wait longer, sucker!"
Yep. Get an iPad.
Boo! Fuck that. They cost $1,000.
I used to follow Tim Schafer on Twitter. I still do, but I was more active when Journey came out. And whenever he said that he was playing Journey, I would play Journey to try to play with Tim Schafer, but I'd never know if I did because...
Oh, because it doesn't track.
Because it doesn't tell you who you played with.
You think
but I just assumed one of them was Tim Schafer.
I played with Tim Schafer. How do you know?
I know. Because I like to live in a positive world.
Speaking of games from people that we have not seen in a while, okay, there is a game. This game is called Heat Signature. Okay? This is Tom Francis's game, and that name probably doesn't mean anything to anybody.
Nope.
You fly around the galaxy in a little ship, and you invade other ships, and you steal people's stuff, and you blast them, and you throw wrenches and machine guns and stuff at them. And I've actually known about this game for quite some time. This game
is an Apple timed exclusive.
Is not an Apple timed exclusive.
Good.
This is the second game from the person who brought us the fantastic Gunpoint. Now, if that name sounds hazily familiar to you, it's because Gunpoint was the game where we came up with asshole Spider-Man with great root power comes go fuck yourself, jumping out of windows, resetting switches, doing stuff.
Yeah.
So he's been working on this since there. And surprise, 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 as of this podcast, it's coming out on Thursday.
Yay.
And it looks really cool. I've actually watched some. This is longer than I've ever seen this game before, but it's a really interesting. It looks like a really fun little kind of top down funky game. You get to fly around. It's procedurally generated. The other thing is that in this particular video, he was announcing. He actually makes a dig at other companies where he's like, "Hey, the game's going to be out on the 21st. I am going to have a launch trailer, but I don't believe in putting out launch trailers before the game is out, like some people."
And then he looked directly into the camera and winked.
Yeah, but this also announces that there's a thing called the Everything Gun that's going to be in the game. You can actually see his little avatar using it here, and basically it just sucks up anything that's in the area and then shoots it at the enemies. And that this gun is going to be in the game and a thing that you can pick up from the launch for 7 days. And if you pick it up in those 7 days, it'll spawn in the game. You can have it forever. If you do not, it's gone. Can't pick it up anymore, which I think is a really fantastic way to incentivize people to get your game
right
on
away.
Launch week. Something which he even said it's a ridiculous gun. It's probably going to bounce stuff back and end up killing you. Like if you suck up the guns of people you've already killed and shoot it, if they hit the wall, those guns will then shoot. So it's just like a chaos party. But yeah, if you guys never heard of Heat Signature, John and I actually took a look at a really early beta of it. And when I say take a look at, we didn't actually make a video for it. We were just looking at it on YouTube one day. But yeah, that'll be out this week.
Oh, exciting.
Speaking of things that are going to be out this week, on Tuesday, Ubisoft, so this is September 11th that they announced this. Atomega is coming out September 19th by the studio that made Grow Home and Grow Up. And this is an 8-player multiplayer shooter where you play as a tiny little burst of light. And what happens is you come into the arena and you get a cube. Then you have to go around this arena, and as you gain more cubes, you turn
Lego bricking yourself into things.
Yeah, you become bigger. So as you get cubes, first you go from a single cube to kind of a little amoeba, and then a little Tyrannosaurus, and then a robot, and then a giant.
You're almost evolving.
Yeah, and I think as you get shot, you lose those same cubes. Strangely similar to Morphe's Law, right? But this is coming out this week, and it's strange because I don't think that. I mean, as near as I can tell, I look over the news every week, and I didn't see anything about this announced and then out 8 days later. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks neat. It does look a lot like Morphe's Law a little bit.
Yeah,
but still into it.
Yeah, not going to stop me from playing Overwatch, though. No, I'm just kidding.
It's not going to stop me from getting on the fucking objective.
So, lastly, we have a few announcements of things that I feel like were kind of badly kept secrets. Okami is coming back in an HD version for the PC and the PS4 and the Xbox One, and that's cool because I never got a chance to play Okami. Have you ever seen this game before?
I've seen that dog thing.
Oh, Amaterasu?
Yeah, but I have not played it.
Apparently, it's a lot like The Legend of Zelda, but it's like one of these, like, the game is, like, the world has been sucked dry of color, and you've got to, like, come down from heaven to bring it back. It's supposed to be really awesome. Matt Frank loves this game.
Yeah, he was so hyped.
Yeah.
I knew about this news because Matt Frank was so hyped over it.
I mean, it was a PS2 game, and then I think there was an HD version, but I never played it. But I'm ready. I'm ready to play it now. And this trailer looks real nice. There's just it just looks super colorful, and it seems to, I don't know, I feel like we're seeing a lot of PS2 games making the jump to the PS4 these days. Like Yakuza Kiwami that came out a few weeks ago. But this looks great, and I don't know, does it have a release date? December 12th. And it's going to be $20, which is
That's not bad. Yeah.
You know, during the game drought, $20. This is also potentially, I don't want to agree to anything that I can't unagree to, but Okami is one of those games where, like, if an HD version came out, I'd be interested in maybe playing it as a sequential because I've never played it before, and I could just, react to it in real time.
Yeah.
Also, we're all but completely confirmed that the Steam versions of Vanquish and Bayonetta are coming to the PS4 and the Xbox One, which is cool because if you haven't played those and you don't have a good PC, you should totally get them because both those games are fucking fantastic and I love them and they're great.
Yep.
Speaking of other things that were weird and kind of came out of nowhere, so Atlas has they have a Nico Nico channel. Nico Nico translates to smile, and it's basically a Japanese version of YouTube that they use a lot in Japan.
Okay.
And they were running a stream, and above it there was a banner ad. And this banner ad is a picture of a character from the game Dragon's Crown, and the Japanese says Dragon's Crown Pro, and it says PS4. Dragon's Crown, as you may have remembered, is the giant booby sorceress game that
I remember
was
all
made
the giant
by
booby games we played, Jeff.
Vanillaware. Well, we didn't actually play that one.
Yeah.
Jason and I played it a long time ago. It was a real fun game. Weird, kind of a very strange game. And actually, I remember was kind of mired in a lot of criticism of the art style because the guy that made that game likes to draw women with incredibly large boobs in very scanty clothing.
Why would you give them big boobs and a lot of clothing?
Well, I don't know.
Right? Like, I was just like, well, I'm going to give her these giant titties and a trench coat. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I don't know. All I know is that when you were playing as the sorceress and you tried to run, she would like hold her hat to her head, but then her bazongas are just bazongaing everywhere. Just bazinga those bazongas. And last but certainly not least, we're a full-on news podcast this week, folks.
Yay.
Sorry. We'll get to back to questions next week.
Jeff lied to you.
There was a Dark Souls question. I want to answer it.
Oh, man, I'm so upset we couldn't get to that Dark Souls question.
I felt like Amanda might enjoy this since you're going through 100 days of horror. Dead by Daylight, the asymmetrical horror-themed multiplayer game that Jason and I played so long ago, is incorporating Leatherface as a new playable character.
Nice.
In their latest content update, it makes a lot of sense.
Just the image.
I think it's funny how between this and Mortal Kombat X, like Leatherface is showing up in all these other games, even though there's not like a Texas Chainsaw movie anywhere.
Well, there is actually a Leatherface movie that's coming out.
Is there?
It's a prequel, and I hear it's shit.
Oh, okay.
It's like how good. Leatherface became Leatherface.
Oh, yeah, okay. Origin of Leatherface.
Yeah, why would anybody want that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Anyway, it's called Leatherface.
Nobody does.
I hear it's not good.
Okay. And with that, we're done.
Yay!
It is 3:30 in the morning, so we
Yes,
managed to end an hour before our time last night.
Yay!
Huzzah, ladies and gentlemen.
Just trying to kill me.
I'm trying to kill myself, too. I'm taking you all with me. mail@rageselect.com is the email address. Again, I feel like
you should have an episode that's all questions episode.
Oh, and all. Well, I never have enough questions for an all questions.
You need to save all the questions you ignore because you have too many all news episodes.
That doesn't happen very often.
It's happened more than once in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
So that's 2 weeks worth of questions.
To blame Nintendo, man, or blame no. I tell you what, blame everybody else because it could have been Nintendo or everybody else, but not both.
Yeah,
it couldn't have been both. Anyway. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Mail@rageselect.com is the email address. I would normally have a pithy outro, but I'm going to die. Bye!